I've never
Because,
live streamed before, so let's see how it goes.
I think we must be live.
I've never live streamed before, so let's see how it goes. Oh, I don't know. Okay, amazing. I think we're on. I think we're good.
We must be live.
You gotta love technology.
You know what? Sometimes it works and sometimes it works less.
And I don't know what's going on. I've got an echo. Have you got an echo on your end? Okay, amazing. I think we're on. I think we're good. You gotta love technology.
You know what? Sometimes it works and sometimes it works less.
I don't know what's going on. I've got an echo. Have you got an echo on your end? Okay, amazing. I think we're on. I think we're good.
I do hear you echo.
You gotta love technology.
You know what? Sometimes it works and sometimes it works less.
Okay, I'm just going to try and close one of these to stop the echo.
All right. I do hear you echo.
Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes it works and sometimes it works less.
Okay, I'm just going to try and close one of these to stop the echo.
All right. I do hear you echo.
Yeah. Okay, I think that should be fine now.
All right.
Beautiful. Well, good to chat to you again. How are you?
I am amazing. How are things in Thursday?
Yeah, it's good. I keep forgetting I'm in the future from you.
You know what? This is so trippy, but I kind of like that because I can check in with you and be like, is tomorrow any better than today?
Look, I don't know. Sometimes not.
That's kind of how it's been, right? Like this few couple of weeks have been once for the books.
Yes. Yeah. So we were just talking off camera, and I guess we wanted to jump on and catch up like regularly. Like, I guess we're going to do it monthly, aren't we? And have like the real talks that we have like off camera, but on camera together. And we were just talking off camera, and I think you might have asked me, like, how am I? And I feel like I'm just like unloaded into so much that's been going on. And you mentioned something about the awards, and I was like, so I think it's really nice to, I guess, share what goes on behind the scenes with people because, not everything is what it looks like on social media. And I do quite often say that to a lot of people. And I never thought that I would be one of those people where I ended up being one of those people where I look a certain way on social media and shit is not the same behind the scenes. Um, so I would like a little bit like feel a little bit disembodied by that, I guess. And it was like, yeah, it's great to have all of these things and be doing all of these things, but I just got to a point recently where I just was like, yeah, but like what for? Like, what am I doing this for? It's like, what's the point of having like this public forum and platform? Like, if I feel like I've like lost that soul essence behind like what I'm doing and why I'm doing things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been going through like a little bit of I guess, a transition time with myself personally, because everything evolves. Like as much as you're working with clients and helping them to evolve through their life, like we are people as well. We are going through our own journeys in life and going through our own
Absolutely.
evolutions. So I just took my hair extensions out. I went back darker with my hair, took my lash extensions out. I was like, I just want to get back to like nature and get back to like just me. And it's that age-old saying, right? Like you are enough just as you are, and just being in the here and the now is enough. And it's things that you forget when you just get so caught like being busy and doing things. And yeah.
So I'm going to tell you two things. First of all, you look beautiful, and I could not even tell that you took anything out. Okay.
Thank
It took
you.
nothing from you. You're as beautiful as ever. So that's number one. Number two, and it's been on my mind for a while now, and I've talked to several of my clients about it. There is such a famous saying of unconditional love. like, it's almost a cliche, right? Like from every platform, every coach, everybody's like, unconditional love, unconditional love. You don't need to do anything to deserve unconditional love. I think what we need to focus on is unconditional self-worth. Because I think there is still such a huge burden on earning yourself. And until you have that unconditional self-worth and accept yourself for who you are, eyelashes or not, hair extensions or not, it's super hard to get to anything else that is unconditional. So it's crazy because, like, even in my own coaching practice, like, I bargain with myself all the time. Like, if I sign this many clients, I will do this. If I do that, I do. So it kind of creates this mindset of lack, if you know what I mean. Because if I'm not doing something until, I'm literally manifesting the absence of that until.
Yeah, it's like that self-deprivation, isn't it? You know?
Totally. Totally. And also, when we go into the mindset of I should, I need, I this, and it's like, what are those rules? Like, said who? Like, I was on a call with a friend this morning, and we were talking about a lot of similar things. And I was like, do you know who is like the most influential influencer? And she's going through like all of those names in our field. I'm like, Jesus. She's like, what? I'm like, Jesus was the most influential influencer. And guess what? He wasn't liked by everybody, and he wasn't followed by everybody.
Yeah.
But the guy just went on, kind of created a legacy for himself, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
So, like, what are those rules? What are those algorithms? What are those platforms? Like, that goes back to what you said. Why am I doing this? It was never for the platform. It was for the people, your clients.
Yeah.
And I think within this technology, we lose that authenticity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I've always known this about social media, and I've always had a love, mainly hate relationship with social media.
Yeah.
But, it's a way to reach people, and it's a way of taking your work to a larger scale. But I just was like, I don't know at what point the scales tipped for me. You know what I mean? It was like, at what point did I get so caught up in like feeling like I needed to be presented a certain way, or opportunities only came because of this or that, and it was just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I just felt like there was like a kink in the hose at some point, and everything started to like block off. But then like so many other things were coming in, but it was like the surface layer things, not like the deep, like soul essence, like soul connection, like that legacy work, and I just was like, this is not what I'm here for. Like, I'm here for that depth. I'm here for like the soul conversations, the soul growth, like that soul work, But it is hard. Like, it's hard when you're working that deep all the time. Like, you have to kind of stop and remember to have fun. And then I think that's when it happens. Like, when you're so deep in the work all the time, that then it's like, oh, hang on. Like, it actually also can be fun as well. Like
Yes,
doing the inner work, but also doing the work in business too.
absolutely. Well, and I also think that when we are honest with ourselves, that comes through in the message, and that helps us attract ideal clients.
Yeah.
Because I get this question all the time. Like, right, I work with women who own their own business, and my specialty is helping them break through that income plateau.
Yeah.
So I would have somebody come in, and I'm in the United States, right? So she'd be like, I am making 10,000 a month, and I cannot shift it. It's been 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. And she's like, at a certain point in my life, this was my dream. I was like, if I can bring in on a regular basis 10 grand, like, I walk on water. And now that's all I do. I'm like, walk on water. She's like, no, make 10,000. So we start going into it. And most of the time, what we uncover is she's still operating in the identity of her who started 10 years ago. So she really did not recalibrate herself to her next goal. And she's trying to reach that being the woman she was X number of years ago. I'm like, girlfriend, you have reached the results, your goals that you set for yourself, being who you are today. Be grateful, thank her, but also realize that she got you as far as she could. You ask for 10,000, she's delivering. Now, if you want 50, that is a different identity. So that's thing number one. And then thing number two is we want to work with people that we love. And I'm like, you attract who you are. So when you look at yourself, how are you doing? This was my favorite example from this week. I have a client and she's in financial services. So she manages other people money. And she has a couple of clients who are regularly late with their payments. She's like, what the hell? I'm managing their finances. I know they have means to pay me. Why are they always late? And I was like, have you ever been late with the payment? And she started laughing. She's like, I'm freaking always late. Now I'm like, okay, let me ask you another question. Are you paying full or payment plan? She's like, I love a good payment plan, especially if there is 0%. I'm like, you are literally mirroring yourself through your clients.
Well, people are mirrors, right? Everyone's a mirror of you and what you're going through.
So I'm like, if you are, and there are no judgments. I'm not saying that payment plan is better or worse than pay in full. I love myself a good sale. Well, this is why I'm constantly throwing in sales on my offers because I know it's attracting to me. Now, if you talk to somebody like Tony Robbins, I'm pretty sure he's pay in full kind of guy at this point. So you just need to be aware of your own practices because we don't attract what we want. We attract who we are.
So true. So true. And it's so much the energetics as well, right? Like it's about as you're like shifting and evolving through things, like matching the energetics. Like I literally was like saying not long ago that it was like I feel like so much happened so fast in my business that I left myself behind. It was like all of a sudden all of these things that I had like wanted and like were on my goals were all like coming in so fast, right? To the point that then it was like, oh, it's like not even a goal anymore because it's just like, oh, it just has happened multiple times now. It's like, oh, it's actually easy to achieve, right? Which is like also like you just take for granted like how amazing it is to achieve a massive goal. But then it was like that energetic like shifting with things as they're evolving, like as things are up leveling. It's like, yeah, I did leave myself behind. Like my energetics didn't like transfer over with where my business currently was. Like so many things. It was like updating the belief system, like, you know, rebooting the computer program to be like, okay, well, this is where we were, this is where we are now. Like, you need to catch up. Like, you need to match that.
Well, and I mean, we know, you and I know that our brain is the slowest when it comes to catching up to the reality. So this is why many times we don't observe manifestation immediately because there is a delay of our brain catching up and therefore our reality catching up.
Yes.
It is like I heard this long time ago and it just stuck with me and it makes so much more sense now that I'm diving into the world of manifestation. Nothing is created. It's just manifested. Everything has been done. It's done. It's there. It's just a matter of whether you observe it in your physical reality or not. here is the thing. You're like, I want 50,000 in my bank account. And you send this out to the universe. Let's say your goal is clear. You take actions. It's coming. The fact that you're not observing it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But
So how
here's
do you
another
get to
fun
that
fact.
place though, where it is existing in your reality?
Well, it's everywhere because abundance is our initial factory setting. If you think about it, when the baby is born, they're abundant by default. They have everything. They've got oxygen, they've got, warmth. And if they need to eat, they cry, they get the food. Like for the most part, the abundance is all around.
Mm.
And as we get older, we start learning this concept of need. Oh, but I need this or I need that. And it starts kind of programming us into, instead of being grateful and appreciating what we have, therefore attracting more of that, we're focusing on what we don't have. Like this is so typical even for us coaches. When we start tracking numbers, right? Like you and I were talking about it offline, numbers and algorithms and followers and this and that. We're collecting the data to show us where we're lacking. And then we're like, well, I only got 15,000 views. What do you mean
But also,
only?
like, what's the
There are
parameter?
15,000 people that saw your goddamn 5-second reel.
Yeah, but also, what are we comparing it against? Like other people. Like, and why could then who is the person that determines what level is acceptable as a good level or not? You know?
I do. Do you know that I have never felt wealthier than when I got my first job out of college, where I was making 29,000 a year. I was filthy rich. I was like, oh my God, I took myself on a shopping spree. I was like, I have money on my debit card. Like I was radiating wealth. Since that time, I've made a couple million. And I'm like, I want the feeling of that any day of the week. Like I would choose that. And here's a fun exercise. Do it with yourself when you're like, we can't do it right now because I'm not good with math, but take your income from, let's say, when you started working, when you were like 18, 19, 20, or, 14, whenever you started working, sum it all up. You'd be shocked. People like,
Yeah,
oh,
do you know? Yeah. Like that's a lot of money over many years of working.
yeah. But you don't look at it like that.
No.
Because we have learned to look at per hour, per month, per year. No, like you have invested all this time, like over the years, like you're a big deal. But we don't stop to be grateful for that. So we don't let our brain catch up. Like, you know how you go to the restaurant and if it's like a really fancy one, they will serve everything on like this ginormous plate and there is going to be like this much food. And I'm like, huh. Like, I'm going to make sure I'm going to eat super slow. But the funny part is when you do, your brain catches up and you get full. Versus if you inhale a burger, like a half a cow, but you eat it super fast, you're like, yeah, I can get it down, like no problem.
Yeah, so true.
Slow down. So I actually have something to share with you. I am very visual, right? Like I am like the universe's nightmare because I'm like, I want to see it. So when you say to somebody like, get in a vortex, I'm like, where's the vortex? Like, where's the sign? Like, where?
Can I
Like,
just get
where?
off the slide into it?
Right? So I realized that I was like, you know what? I want to see signs from the universe. Like, I literally want the universe to talk to me like big billboard signs.
Mm.
I'm like, it doesn't talk to me. So once on a walk, I found a penny. And you know, we Americans go crazy. We find a penny, we're like, penny from heaven. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to choose that to be my sign. I got a jar and I started collecting pennies. And I call it my lucky jar.
Is that all from stuff you found?
These are all the coins that I found on walks, at stores, in public places, literally. But here's the fun part.
I love that so much.
I started finding dollar bills.
Love that.
So the universe will absolutely work with you if you get specific. Like I'm hoping to find like a diamond ring next. So that's just kind of like my next step. But I highly recommend getting a lucky jar and start collecting whatever you think is your sign from a universe because it is literally a psychological effect. It's called a red car effect.
Mm.
You will notice what you pay attention to. Like if I ask you, Marissa, how many red cars did you see today?
Well, none, because I haven't left my house yet.
Okay. If I told you I'm going to get you $50 for every red car you spot.
I'll be turning maroon cars into red for sure.
You'd be like on YouTube looking at red cars. You're like, I can't leave my house. I have all this podcast scheduled, but if I can get $50 for every red car, you will start finding red cars everywhere. Now I planted this seed. Tomorrow you will see red cars freaking everywhere. I know
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up to a message from you like I cannot unsee red cars.
Yeah. Well, that's like your reticular activating system. So every time you like activating that, which is quite often why you're looking when you decide you want a new car, you'll see it everywhere. You'll see the color you
Yeah.
want. You'll see everyone driving it. And you're like, why is everyone driving this car that I want? And it is your reticular activating system. It happens with so much stuff. And, you know, it's such a good reminder that it happens with like positive and negative things because your mind doesn't know the difference between what is positive or negative. It's just the meaning that you've assigned to it, which means that, you know, if you're thinking a thought, which, you know, it's so easy to say this out to other people, right? But then I was like, maybe I need to sit in with this a little bit more too, right? But it's like, you know, when you're having those thoughts or you're caught up in that cycle about why things are the way they are or why things are happening, it's like your mind doesn't know the difference. It's just the meaning that you're assigning to it. So it's like, yeah, flipping the script, like the script and changing the meaning around the thoughts that you're having, which is hard sometimes. Like, honestly, I'm going to admit, like, even for people that do this work ongoing, it is called
Yes.
work because it is an ongoing process. You have to continually make an effort to stay at it and being consistent.
Well, and that's why I think the best thing a coach can do is to have a coach.
Mm.
Like when I have people ask me, you know, especially if they're considering enrolling in one of my programs, like, is this it? Like, do I go through this program and this is it? And I'm like, this will never be it until the day you die.
Mm.
Because you are an evolving phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like every single day you evolve. Like I have invested tens of thousands of dollars in coaching and programs for myself.
Mm.
And today I work with 3 different coaches. I have a marketing coach, I have a business coach, and I have a mindset coach.
Mm.
Because when you get so close to what you do, you need an objective somebody from a side, like just slap you upside the head and say, you're operating within your own personal limiting belief.
Yeah, it's so true. It is so true.
That's why I love what we're doing right now, because I think there are not enough opportunities for coaches to slow down and say, you know what? I need somebody to hold me accountable for walking my talk.
And I think just highlighting the fact that like everyone is normal, everyone is a human
Yeah.
being, and everyone is going through their own journeys. And I think you probably get it a lot as well. Like a lot of your clients, they're like, "Oh, I'm sure that you've never heard anyone with say this before," or "I'm probably the only person you've ever heard have this." And it's like everyone feels that they're so alone in what they're going through. But when you actually connect with people and talk to them, you realize that everybody actually is the same and feeling the same and going through the same things.
Yes. There are a lot of similarities, a lot of similarities. And I think that's part of a healing process is putting it out there. I literally just did in my Facebook group a little post and said, if you could get rid of just one for the rest of your life, your choices are procrastination, imposter syndrome, or
Mm.
fear of failure.
Oh God, that's a hard one.
So which one would you get rid of?
Do you know, I feel like they're so interlinked. I feel like I procrastinate because at times imposter syndrome comes up, and imposter syndrome comes up because I have the fear of failure.
So it's fascinating because most of my folks were the same way. They're like, I can't pick one. I'm like, well, what if your life depended on it? Because here's why. We are so accustomed to spread ourselves like peanut butter and feel like we have to address all of it. And then we're surprised that we're overwhelmed. So I agree with you. Those three are super duper relatable because they're all human feelings and
And
we're humans.
and everybody feels those. It doesn't matter what level you're at or what perceived level of success you have. Everybody has moments where you'll have a thought pop into your mind where you're like, who the fuck am I to be doing this? Or,
Yeah.
like, am I qualified enough to do this? Or is what I'm saying of any value? Like, everybody has those thoughts, right? But I think it's like the difference is how fast can you recalibrate from that and keep moving forward anyway?
I love that. I found that my personal best cure is go back and watch one of my programs. And I'm
Mm.
like, she's so good. Wow, she's so good. And you know what's interesting? Like, I forget things. Like, I would do this program and I would lay it all out and I would talk about it and I would coach and then I would move on and I would forget all of it. Not all of it, but like I will forget points. And then when I rewatch it, I was like, this is why I do what I do. I'm
Mm.
really good. I am really good. It's going back into your zone of genius to be like, you know what? All of those little limiting thoughts, like that itty bitty shitty committee in your mind, that is literally just your ego trying to protect you, right?
Mm.
Like it is wired, it is in its job description to keep you safe. And the only way to keep you safe is to stop you from changing, from trying anything new.
So true.
So you will never get rid of it. That's part of you. But to work with it and to learn how to tame it, just say, you know what? Listen, I understand. You're trying to do your job and you're trying to make me feel safe and it's all on a level, but I am safe. This
Mm.
is okay. I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to make a mistake because there are no mistakes. There are only experiences. And I'm open to experience this.
So true. And I think also as well, like just that acceptance and understanding that new level, new devil, right? Like as you go through things that crack and expand you open on another level, things are going to come up to the surface. So I want to share my story because, you know, like again, I don't feel like people share a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And
Yeah.
I'm all about being like real, right? So it's like I've been working on my book here. Here's my manuscript to do my edit. And this bloody book, I think nearly fucking broke me. Seriously, it was like so much came up. I love this book and I definitely am excited to get it out, but it's been a massive process. Like it's been a process of like going into the writing cave and just shutting out everything. And people are like, I feel like I've not seen people in real life for so long because I've just been like in the writing cave. So that's been a process in itself. And I also could have probably been productive and been doing a little bit of writing every day, which I highly recommend and will be doing for my second book. But again, I think part of that like fear and that, you know, old programming was like, oh, I've got a deadline and now I'm overdue and now I have to do it. So I just sat there and smashed it out. So I am overdue sending through my manuscript because I was also like, I needed to take a break and step away from it because it just became so consuming. It cracked me open on so many ways. It was like the procrastination, which was just a way of self-preservation. The imposter syndrome came up, which I thought I had already worked through on so many ways, and the fear of failure. And the fact of like the fear of judgment and criticism, like when I put it out, like, will I get like comments on like Amazon, like, you know, all of this sort of stuff, right? And then I looked at like other authors and I saw their negative comments and I was like, well, if they're getting it, and the comments are getting, I'm like, it's just part and parcel, right? But it is like you're bearing your soul on such a deeper level. And it's like so much has come up through this process of writing this book that it hasn't just been a process of like getting things out of my head onto paper. It's been like a deep personal evolution myself as well. Like I've been elevating myself as I've been, you know, going through my book. And it's just like, yeah, it's a real process, you know, and it's like, I don't think it doesn't matter what level you're at or what you're going through, you're going to be cracked open on some way and in some form. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's just part of life, right? Like maybe we just need to start embracing being cracked open and having to work through the hard shit.
And it's funny, I'm sitting here listening to you and you were wondering, were you tired? You literally have gone through that process that we were describing from the caterpillar into the butterfly when you were in that cocoon, basically turning into that gooey, yucky mess. It's
Yes.
hard.
So
It
hard.
is so crazy. So I'll share for your share. You know, the infamous practice that we always say, like, if you believe that you cannot get something done, and like, again, I work with women in business. So the famous one is, I'm not cut out for this. I don't think I can run a successful business. Or I can have a small gig, but I will never build generational wealth with it. And, you know, we always start by like, okay, sit down and write down every reason why you think this is not going to work. Like sit down and write it, like every single reason. And if it's 50, good job. Keep going. And then we're going to take each one of those reasons and we're going to say, is it actually true?
Mm.
Or did I choose to believe that? And it's really just bullshit that I came up with.
Mm.
So I was in a funk with my business and I'm like, I'm going to do it to myself. Like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write why this particular thing is not going to work. And I went deep.
Mm.
I literally went all the way down to when I was 5 years old and I was taking a dance class. And I got a comment from my mom saying, well, like, I know you really tried, but that girl was just so natural. And I was like, oh my God, that was the origin of always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So the point to this story is when I went through my list and I came myself apart, I was like, okay, this was supposed to be cathartic. I feel like I want to throw up, crawl in a bowl, and cry. That was such a needed experience because when I talk about this exercise with my clients, the way I used to describe it and their expectation was they're going to write down all these reasons. We're going to write down all these objections. And they're going to come out a beautiful butterfly like, okay, well, this was easy. Like 47 years of trauma just totally resolved in 45 minutes. And I was like, no, you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
It felt like I had a sprained ankle that was being put in place without any anesthesia. I was like, got it by that exercise. But you know what? There were some objections that I was like, yeah, total bullshit. Like, what? You just made it up. There were some that I was like, yeah, that's kind of legit. But you know what? The big discovery that came was I don't have to have my past own my today, especially my future. Like, even if something didn't work for 75 reasons, there's no way that this isn't going to work for just one. And that one is, I'm just not going to quit. I'm stronger and I'm just going to keep going.
And that's such an important and powerful point. Like, how often do people give up at that point where things are difficult and hard, right? And it's like on the other side of that discomfort is it's that expansion and that growth and that amazingness. And it is that when you're stuck deep in the abyss of it feeling uncomfortable and it feeling painful and it feeling challenging and confronting and cracking open and exposing you and making you dig deep through your soul, right? Like, that's the time that you want to give up because that's the time that it hurts the most and it's the most uncomfortable. And that is when most people give up. But it's like on the other side of that, if you just keep moving through, like the fastest way out is through, right? If you just keep moving through, and I'm not saying like, do it in a hard way, like do it in a way that helps you to move through so that is a growth experience, not a hard experience. But on the other side of that is where all of that amazingness comes. It's like a new layer, a new evolution, a new elevation through your soul's growth, through like life lessons, through up leveling in your life, your mindset, your soul.
It is so true. It is so true.
Mm.
And it's so common. Like, we all go through it.
Mm.
Like, turning into some next version of yourself is hard.
Mm.
Like, I don't remember precisely my birth experience. That was like really long time ago. But I'm pretty sure I came out crying. And those were not like happy tears. I was like pissed. And that's a common thing. So, like, just let's give each other grace and let's give ourselves grace and be like, you know what? It's not always butterflies. And just because you're a coach doesn't mean that you walk on water.
Mm.
Like, you are a human, and that is what makes you relatable, and that what makes you effective. Like,
Mm.
I love and pride myself on the fact that I'm experiential coach. I have gone through shit that I can tell stories about. And that's what makes me legit And that what helps my imposter syndrome to say, yeah, this is how it started. This is how it's been. And this is the other side.
Hmm. Well, I think it's like going through the trenches and going through it yourself. It's like you can only guide and help another to the level and the depth that you've gone through yourself, right? So the deeper you're in it and you've gone through it, the deeper you can help people to work through that. And I think it's like owning that as a strength because probably like you, there's been so many things in your life where you're like, oh, that wasn't a great experience. Or I probably didn't make the smartest choice there. Or I probably could have had a better life choice that I was making at that point in time, right? But it's like going through that is like what comes out on the other side as your like superpower instead of your pain and your wound, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I'll leave you with this analogy. You know how when you grab a banana, you peel it and you like bite into that amazing fruity goodness and you just like enjoy it, right? Like it tastes good, it's sweet, it's kind of like that dessert without it, like extra calories, it's full of nutrients and minerals, it's like super duper good for you. So you go through that experience. But please tell me you don't hold on to the peel.
Mm,
And you don't let it sit around until it gets like browny and rotty and smelly and stuff. You throw it away.
yeah.
Like that's a way to look at a lot of experiences. And maybe not all of them will taste amazing. But they will all be good for you in one way or another. Some are going to be more like fish oil, but they're still going to be good for you. Just take what you need and get rid of the banana peel.
Yes. So true. So true.
Well, now that we unpacked ourselves and resolved those little issues,
Oh, I mean, I definitely feel better for the day because when I got on this morning, I was like, I don't know what to talk about because you know what? It's been a journey the last few weeks.
you know what? Sometimes the week is just a giver, and you just look at it and go, like, you know what? Point taken, point taken. But like you said, you had so much coming at you, and a lot of it was amazing.
Mm,
You published your book, you got all those amazing awards for your coaching, for public speaking. But all of that is what? Energy. You
mm,
literally have been hit with a tsunami of energy.
yeah.
And it definitely takes time to process. So you probably just need some quiet time to let it all kind of code into your system.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I need integration time. Like I was down the coast and out in the mountains. I got back, what did I get back last week? Yeah, which was nice. But then, I had a busy weekend. I'm back down the mountains next weekend, but I think I'm going to send myself out to like, I don't know, like out to the rainforest or something just for a couple of days with nothing, like no work, like because I've still been working while I've been away. So I think, yeah, I might just take my dog out and just sit out in the bush with my dog for a couple of days and not do any work because it's like, and it is releasing that guilt. And I know that I'm more productive when I'm not working all the time. Like when I have my daily routines and I have more ease and flow in my day and I give myself that time to like rest and integrate. And that has been like a really crucial part that's been missing. And um it's that reminder that, it's like I need to have my daily routines. I need to have time to rest and integrate in between because if I don't, then this is where I end up. I just end up like burnt out. And I think we need to prioritize and normalize rest and nothingness over busyness. I think that's my
That
new
is
that's my new way of living.
that is literally we've come a full circle. It's the unconditional self-worth.
Mm,
You don't have to earn your right to rest. When you feel like you need some downtime, you just do. You just take that.
yeah.
Because you can't, like, it's an old cliche, but it's so freaking true. You can't pour from an empty cup.
So true.
But the more full your cup is, the more you can share.
Yeah, that's true.
So taking time for yourself is not selfish. It's really just self-care.
Yeah, and you forget about that. It's like, and like self-care is self-maintenance. It's like just as important as eating good
Yeah,
quality food. And yeah,
totally.
yes. So it's been a process. So if anyone's listening, you know what? Everybody goes through it. Everybody has times where you're cracking yourself open and expanding yourself on a higher level. It's normal.
It is normal. And I think the benefit that we have as coaches, and hopefully that's the benefit that our clients will take away, is awareness is 50% of the solution.
Mm,
So when you're feeling a certain way, register that. Really anchor that feeling and go there, because there is a message waiting for you. There is a reason why you're vibrating on that frequency.
mm.
It's like your phone number, like the universe is dialing you. Pick up the phone. It has a message for you.
So true.
So the point of today's conversation is not like a self-pity party. It's not, verbal vomit. I mean, it is a little bit, but it's truly to show people that you need to register how you feel. That is very important. That is your internal GPS.
Mm.
And if you override it and just pretend it's not there, you're going to end up in a major construction zone. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and get support as well. You know, like before I was out in the mountains last week, like I went down and I did like a private ceremony with a guy and, you know, had like a full day ceremony and it just, yeah, I was like, my soul needs healing. I need some healing. And I just sat in ceremony with this guy and yeah, it was just what my soul needed, but it was like getting help and the right help that you need as well. And knowing that when you are asking and seeking for support, it's not that sign of weakness. It's like, no, your soul needs nourishment, you know?
No, it's actually a sign of strength. It
Mm,
means you're aware, you recognize, and you take what you need. That's actually very empowering.
yeah.
And that's why I said, like, I can't imagine not having a coach. Now, I'm not saying you need the same coach for the rest of your life. If you do have one and you develop that relationship, that's amazing, good for you. But, also give yourself permission to, exit the relationships and, end your training programs and, go on. Like, you will mature, you will change. Like, that's part of who we are. That's really like in the contract.
Yeah.
Like when we came to this earth and we signed the contract, like this was it. It was
Yeah.
the experiential experiment. Like, yeah, you signed up for it. But always have somebody in your life that you can bounce off of. Like,
Mm,
that's so important. Like, why would you want to do this alone? That's crazy.
I know. I know. Yeah, and it's easy to forget that there are so many people out there and so many resources and support systems in place.
Yeah, always reach out. And if you feel like you're stuck, reach out to one of us. We may be the right match for you. We may be not. Let me tell you, it's energetic match.
Mm.
And if I'm not the right coach for you, I will recommend somebody else. But like, don't just sit and stew in it. If you feel like, been there, done that, and you're just stuck in old programming, like talk to somebody who can help you go through, ask questions. And then if you like what they're offering, amazing, like keep using them. And if they're not a match, you just had a banana and get rid of the peel.
So true. So true. Yeah.
All right.
Amazing. Well, good to chat to you again. It's always good to chat to you.
I love talking to you.
And I'll see you again next month.
And it's going to be such a good month because it's my birthday month and I'm turning
Oh,
47. And we are just going to talk about all the amazing things in store because we're going to make it the best year yet.
amazing. Okay, I'm so excited for your birthday celebration next month.
And it's literally in a month. It's actually June 7th. So it's almost to the
Okay.
date.
Okay, awesome. All right, I'm going to put that in my calendar. All right, beautiful. I'll see you next month.
Bye, everyone.